a cinematic journey through London's iconic landmarks. Tower Bridge, Big Ben, the London Eye, Buckingham Palace. Close your eyes and imagine a city where history and modern life blend so seamlessly that every street feels like a story waiting to be told. A city where red double-decker buses pass by thousand-year-old towers, where futuristic skyscrapers shine just across from medieval churches, and where the heartbeat of an entire nation seems to echo through every corner. This is London, the capital of England and one of the greatest cities in the world. For centuries, London has been the center of politics, finance, culture, and art, a place where kings and queens shaped history, and ordinary people built extraordinary legacies. If you think you know London, think again, because this city is far more than postcards and landmarks. It is a living, breathing museum of humanity. And today, we're going to uncover its wonders. The journey begins at the River Thames, the artery that has carried London's life for 2 millennia. On its banks stands the Tower Bridge, one of the city's most iconic sights. Watch as its great arms rise gracefully to let ships pass, a dance between engineering and beauty that has captivated millions. Not far from here stands the mighty Tower of London, a fortress, palace, and prison where crown jewels glisten under heavy guard, and stories of betrayal and intrigue linger in the air. Standing here, it feels as if time bends, as though you can almost hear the whispers of knights, kings, and prisoners whose lives were forever bound to these walls. Then there is Big Ben, the bell within the Elizabeth Tower, whose timeless chime has marked the hours of Britain for generations. Across the street rises the Palace of Westminster, a symbol of democracy and history, where laws that shaped the modern world were debated and written. To stand here is to stand at the heart of England's story, where past and present collide in breathtaking fashion. But London is not just about ancient heritage. Look across the skyline and you'll see the Shard, a gleaming glass tower piercing the clouds, representing London's place as a city of the future. Or the London Eye, a massive wheel on the riverside, lifting visitors high above the city to see a panorama that stretches for miles, the Thames snaking through bridges, the dome of St. Paul's Cathedral, and beyond, the green stretch of Hyde Park. And yet, London is also a city of quiet beauty, hidden in its parks and gardens. Hyde Park, Kensington Gardens, Regent's Park. These green sanctuaries are where Londoners come to breathe, to escape the rush, and to remind themselves that even in a metropolis, nature is never far away. Then there's Buckingham Palace, the home of the British monarch, where tourists gather in thousands to watch the changing of the guard. The sight of the soldiers in their red uniforms and tall black bearskin hats is not just a display of tradition, it's a living piece of England's identity. But perhaps what makes London truly unforgettable is not just its landmarks, but its neighborhoods. Walk through Soho, and you'll find music and nightlife spilling out of every corner. Stroll through Covent Garden, and you'll be enchanted by street performers, theaters, and quaint shops. Wander into Camden, and you'll be swept into a world of street markets, live music, and a rebellious spirit that has defined generations of Londoners. Each district has its own soul, its own rhythm, and together they weave the identity of this extraordinary city. London is also a global stage for art and culture. The British Museum houses treasures from around the world, including the Rosetta Stone and ancient Egyptian artifacts. The Tate Modern pushes the boundaries of creativity with contemporary art that challenges how we see the world. And of course, there's Shakespeare's Globe Theatre, a reconstruction of the playwright's original stage, where the words of the bard still come to life just as they did centuries ago. Food lovers will also find their paradise in London. From Michelin-starred restaurants to bustling food markets like Borough Market, the city's culinary scene is a reflection of its diversity. Here, you can taste flavors from every corner of the globe, each plate telling the story of migration, culture, and community. As night falls, London transforms once again. The Thames reflects the golden glow of bridges, Piccadilly Circus blazes with neon lights, and the blank theaters of the West End invite you into worlds of imagination and performance. The city never sleeps, it simply shifts into another version of itself, vibrant and alive in a new way. London is more than a capital. It is an experience, a journey, and a story that has no ending. It is a place where every stone has a secret, every street has a song, and every moment has a heartbeat. To know London is to know the very spirit of England itself. Resilient, diverse, proud, and forever moving forward. And as we step away from London's skyline, remember this: the wonders of England are vast and varied, each chapter telling its own story. London may be the beginning of this journey, but it is only the first page in a book filled with extraordinary places, timeless traditions, and breathtaking beauty. Focus on royal England, centuries of monarchy, Windsor Castle's grandeur, and the traditions that shaped England. Picture yourself stepping into a world where time slows down, where the walls around you have witnessed nearly 1,000 years of royal history, and where every stone seems to echo with the footsteps of kings, queens, and legendary figures. This is Windsor Castle, the oldest and largest occupied castle in the world, and one of the crown jewels of England's heritage. To visit Windsor is to step directly into the heart of monarchy, tradition, and splendor. It is not just a castle, it is a living, breathing piece of history that continues to play a central role in the life of the British royal family even today. From the moment you approach Windsor Castle, its sheer scale takes your breath away. Perched on a hill overlooking the River Thames, its massive towers and battlements rise proudly against the sky. It looks like something from a fairy tale, yet this is no fantasy. For over 950 years, it has been the home of British monarchs, beginning with William the Conqueror in the 11th century. Generations of rulers expanded, rebuilt, and redefined this fortress, turning it into not just a defensive stronghold, but also one of the most magnificent royal residences in the world. Walking through its gates feels like stepping through layers of history. You are treading paths once walked by Henry VIII, Queen Victoria, and Queen Elizabeth II. This is where royal weddings have been celebrated, where foreign leaders have been hosted in lavish banquets, and where moments of joy and mourning have been shared with the world. The castle is more than stone and mortar. It is the backdrop of Britain's story, a constant presence through wars, revolutions, and modern change. One of the most breathtaking sights within Windsor is St. George's Chapel, a masterpiece of Gothic architecture that radiates both majesty and serenity. Its soaring ceilings, intricate stonework, and dazzling stained glass windows create an atmosphere of awe. This chapel is not just a place of worship, it is also the spiritual home of the Order of the Garter, the oldest order of chivalry in the world, founded in 1348. Here, ceremonies steeped in centuries-old traditions still take place, tying the present to a lineage of knights, monarchs, and honor. St. George's Chapel is also a resting place for some of England's most significant figures, including Henry VIII and the late Queen Elizabeth II, making it a space of both grandeur and reverence. As you move deeper into the castle, the state apartments unfold like a series of chapters in a royal storybook. Each room is more opulent than the last, decorated with priceless works of art, gilded ceilings, and elaborate furnishings. The grand reception room dazzles with crystal chandeliers and gilded details, while the Waterloo Chamber pays tribute to one of England's greatest military victories. Every space within these apartments is designed to impress, reminding visitors that Windsor has always been a stage for diplomacy, ceremony, and power. And yet, Windsor Castle is not just about the past. It is still very much a working palace. It was one of Queen Elizabeth II's favorite residences, where she spent many weekends away from London's bustle. To see the royal standard flying high above the round tower is to know that a monarch is in residence, a tradition that continues to this day. This blend of history and modernity makes Windsor feel alive, not frozen in time. Outside, the castle grounds stretch into beautiful gardens and sweeping views of the surrounding countryside. The Long Walk, an iconic tree-lined avenue stretching for nearly 3 miles, offers one of the most stunning approaches to the castle. Imagine carriages rolling down this path, or royal processions making their way toward the gates, a sight that has unfolded countless times across the centuries. But perhaps what makes Windsor Castle so unforgettable is not just its beauty or its grandeur, but its ability to connect visitors directly with the spirit of England's monarchy. Here, you don't just observe history, you feel it. You stand in the same spaces where royal traditions were born, where decisions that shaped nations were made, and where moments of personal and national significance continue to unfold. For travelers, Windsor is more than a destination. It is an experience that bridges the gap between the England of yesterday and the England of today. It is a reminder that the monarchy, for all its pageantry and ceremony, is also a living tradition, deeply intertwined with the culture and identity of the nation. As you step back from Windsor's towers, perhaps looking down the long walk toward the horizon, you realize that this castle is more than just walls and halls. It is a symbol of endurance. For nearly 1,000 years, it has stood watch over England, weathering wars, fires, and political upheavals, yet always remaining a steadfast emblem of continuity. And so, Windsor Castle invites us not only to marvel at its beauty, but also to reflect on the remarkable story of England itself. A story of power and pageantry, of tradition and transformation, of monarchs and their people bound together through the centuries. But our journey through England's wonders is far from over. If Windsor represents the royal heartbeat of the nation, then our next destination takes us to a place where ancient stones whisper of mysteries even older than kings and castles. A land where the questions of the past still echo into the present. That place is Stonehenge, one of the greatest enigmas in human history. Explore the world's most prestigious universities, cobblestone streets, libraries, and timeless traditions. Imagine standing in the middle of an open plain, the wind sweeping across the fields, as towering stones rise before you in a perfect circle. They seem almost alive, as if placed there not only by human hands, but by some force greater, some knowledge we still don't fully understand. This is Stonehenge, one of the most mysterious and iconic landmarks not only in England, but in the entire world. A place that has stood for thousands of years, holding secrets that no historian, scientist, or archaeologist has fully unlocked. It is a monument that forces us to stop, to wonder, and to question the very nature of human history. The first thing you notice about Stonehenge is its size and arrangement. Enormous slabs of stone, some weighing up to 25 tons, are carefully positioned in a circular pattern. These stones are not native to the area. Some were transported from quarries nearly 150 miles away in Wales, a feat so impressive that even today, with all our technology, it would be a challenge. How did people thousands of years ago, with no machinery, no wheels, and no modern tools, move these stones across rivers and hills? And perhaps more importantly, why did they do it? The age of Stonehenge is staggering. Construction began around 3000 BC during the Neolithic period and continued in stages over more than 1,000 years. By the time the final stones were raised, civilizations in Egypt were building pyramids. Yet here in England, a society without written records had created something equally enduring. Standing within this circle is like traveling back in time to an age before history was written, when knowledge was passed through stories, rituals, and traditions. What was the purpose of Stonehenge? This is the question that keeps drawing people back. Was it a temple for sun worship? A giant calendar? An ancient burial site? Or a place for rituals we can only imagine? Evidence suggests it was all of these at different times. Many archaeologists believe Stonehenge was built as an astronomical observatory, perfectly aligned with the movements of the sun. On the summer solstice, the longest day of the year, the sun rises directly over the heel stone, casting its light into the heart of the circle. On the winter solstice, the shortest day, the sun sets in a perfect alignment. This was no coincidence. Whoever built Stonehenge had a deep understanding of the cosmos, of cycles and seasons, knowledge that guided their lives and survival. And yet, Stonehenge was more than science. It was a place of spirituality. Burials have been found around the site, some containing artifacts of great value, suggesting it was a sacred space. The effort required to build it, thousands of people working together over centuries, speaks to its importance. This was not simply a project of architecture. It was a project of belief, of culture, of identity. Stonehenge was a gathering place, a unifying symbol for communities who may have traveled great distances to be part of its rituals. Walking around the stones today, you cannot help but feel the weight of their presence. They are silent, but not empty. Each one seems to hum with energy, as if holding on to the whispers of those who came before. Visitors often describe a sense of awe, of being connected to something larger than themselves. It is as though Stonehenge exists on the boundary between earth and sky, past and present, human and divine. What makes Stonehenge even more fascinating is how it has endured. For more than 40 years, it has withstood storms, wars, and the passing of empires. Roman invaders came and went. Saxons, Vikings, and Normans ruled the land. Kings and queens rose and fell. Yet, through it all, Stonehenge remained, watching silently as history unfolded around it. Today, it continues to draw millions of visitors from across the globe. On the solstices, crowds gather at dawn to witness the same alignment of the sun that ancient people once celebrated. In those moments, as light breaks across the horizon and strikes the stones, it is easy to imagine the chants, drums, and rituals that once filled this sacred ground. You realize that while we may not fully understand Stonehenge, we are still part of its story, modern humans experiencing the same wonder as those who stood here millennia ago. Stonehenge challenges us. It forces us to admit how much we don't know. It reminds us that the people of the past were not primitive, but ingenious, capable of remarkable achievements with limited tools. And it teaches us that mystery itself can be powerful. Perhaps the true magic of Stonehenge is not in finding every answer, but in the act of wondering. As you step away from the circle, the image of those stones lingers in your mind. You feel as though you've touched something eternal, something that defies explanation but speaks directly to the human spirit. It is both a monument to the past and a mirror reflecting our endless search for meaning. And so, from the windswept plains of Stonehenge, our journey continues. If this ancient site reveals the mysteries of England's prehistoric past, our next destination brings us into the heart of one of the world's most vibrant and modern cities, a place where history, culture, and innovation collide in a way that only England can offer. Next, we explore London, the beating heart of the nation. The charm of rolling hills, stone cottages, and old-world pubs. Close your eyes and picture this. The sound of Big Ben's chimes echoing across the River Thames, the red double-decker buses rolling past centuries, old buildings, and the vibrant energy of millions of people from every corner of the world converging in one city. This is London, the heart of England, a city where ancient traditions meet cutting-edge modernity, where every street corner hides a story, and where history and culture are not just preserved, but alive. Few cities on Earth carry such global influence, and few inspire such fascination. London is not just a destination, it is an experience. As you arrive, the skyline tells the story before words ever could. On one side, the Tower of London, a medieval fortress where kings and queens once ruled, where prisoners awaited their fate, and where the crown jewels still sparkle with centuries of power. On the other side, the glass and steel of the Shard rises into the clouds, the tallest building in Western Europe, a modern symbol of ambition and progress. Between them, the Dome of St. Paul's Cathedral shines white against the sky, reminding us of resilience. It was one of the few landmarks that survived the Blitz of World War II. London is a city of contrasts, where the old and new live side by side in harmony. Step into Westminster, and you enter the very center of political life in the United Kingdom. The Palace of Westminster, with its Gothic architecture, is home to the Houses of Parliament, where laws are debated and history is shaped daily. Just beside it, the iconic clock tower we lovingly call Big Ben stands tall, marking the hours with a sound that has become synonymous with London itself. Standing on Westminster Bridge, You can feel the energy of the city rushing past the boats on the Thames, the tourists taking photos, the locals hurrying to work. It's here that you realize London never sleeps. It's a city always moving forward. But London isn't just about politics and power, it's also about art, culture, and creativity on a scale few other cities can match. Take the British Museum, one of the greatest repositories of human history in the world. Here you can walk from the Rosetta Stone to the Parthenon marbles, from ancient Egyptian mummies to treasures of Asia and the Americas. A few streets away, the National Gallery on Trafalgar Square houses works by Da Vinci, Van Gogh, and Rembrandt, making it a sanctuary for art lovers. And then there's the Tate Modern, inside a converted power station, showcasing bold contemporary works that challenge and inspire. In London, every era of human creativity is within your reach. No visit to London would be complete without experiencing its theater scene, the beating heart of the West End. Here, the lights dazzle as musicals, dramas, and comedies take to the stage every night. From classics like Les Miserables and The Phantom of the Opera to groundbreaking new productions, London rivals Broadway as the world's theater capital. And if you prefer Shakespeare's timeless words, the Globe Theatre by the Thames recreates the magic of the Bard's plays, as they would have been seen in the 16th century. To sit beneath the open sky as actors bring Shakespeare to life is to touch the soul of English literature. London is also a city of parks and open spaces, offering a peaceful retreat from the urban rush. Hyde Park, with its serene lake and Speaker's Corner, is a place where voices of freedom have echoed for centuries. Regent's Park, with its gardens and zoo, provides beauty and leisure. And then there's Greenwich, where you can stand on the prime meridian, one foot in the eastern hemisphere, the other in the western, as the city sprawls out before you. These green lungs of London give balance to its energy, a reminder that nature still holds a place even in the busiest metropolis. Of course, London is also a global capital of food, fashion, and shopping. From the bustling markets of Camden, where alternative culture thrives, to the luxury of Harrods and the designer boutiques of Bond Street, the city caters to every taste. Borough Market is a feast for the senses, with aromas of spices, fresh bread, and street food from across the globe filling the air. London is a culinary crossroads, where traditional English dishes like fish and chips sit alongside flavors from India, the Caribbean, Africa, and beyond. Eating here is like taking a world tour without leaving the city. But perhaps what makes London truly unforgettable is its diversity. Walk through neighborhoods like Brixton, Shoreditch, or Notting Hill, and you'll see cultures blending seamlessly. Festivals, parades, and celebrations from every tradition are part of the city's rhythm. London belongs to everyone, and that sense of inclusivity is woven into its character. It's a city where you can feel at home no matter where you come from. At night, the city transforms again. The London Eye glows in neon as it spins slowly above the river. The Shard sparkles in the skyline. Music spills out of pubs in Soho. Laughter fills the streets, and the sound of life continues long after the sun has set. London after dark is electric, offering everything from cozy jazz bars to world-class nightclubs. To visit London is to walk through time. Every step takes you from Roman ruins to Tudor palaces, from Victorian streets to futuristic towers. It is history, culture, politics, art, and diversity, all wrapped into one. London doesn't just show you England, it shows you the world. And perhaps that is why it remains one of the most visited, admired, and loved cities on earth. But our journey doesn't stop here. For while London is the heartbeat of the nation, England's true spirit also lies in the countryside, in the rolling hills, the charming villages, and the landscapes that have inspired poets, painters, and dreamers for centuries. Next, we travel into the Cotswolds, where time seems to slow, and the simple beauty of England's rural life unfolds before us. A journey into Roman baths, Georgian architecture, and history blending with elegance. Imagine a place where time seems to have slowed, where golden stone cottages glow warmly under the English sun, where winding country lanes lead you past rolling hills, and where life moves at a gentle, almost forgotten pace. This is the Cotswolds, the storybook heart of England, a landscape so enchanting that it feels like stepping into a painting. For centuries, this region has captured the imagination of poets, artists, and travelers. And today, it continues to draw people from across the world who seek the timeless beauty of England at its purest. The magic of the Cotswolds lies in its villages. Take Byberry, for instance, often called the most beautiful village in England. Here, the famous Arlington Row, a row of 17th century weavers' cottages, stretches along a peaceful river. With their honey-colored stone and steeply pitched roofs, these homes seem almost unreal, like something lifted straight from a fairy tale. Then there is Bourton-on-the-Water, known as the Venice of the Cotswolds, where graceful low bridges cross a sparkling river and ducks glide lazily beneath willows. It's a place where children play on the riverbanks, and the charm of rural life is preserved with every step you take. Travel a little further, and you'll find Stow-on-the-Wold, perched high on a hill, with its historic market square surrounded by antique shops and old coaching inns. The medieval church here is famous for its ancient yew trees, their twisted trunks framing a wooden door that looks like it belongs in a fantasy novel. Then there is Castle Combe, often called the prettiest village in England, where stone cottages line cobbled streets, and it feels as though modernity never touched it. Walking through these villages, you're not just exploring a place, you're stepping into a living museum of English history. The countryside itself is no less breathtaking. Rolling green hills stretch as far as the eye can see, dotted with sheep grazing lazily under wide skies. Dry stone walls, built by hand centuries ago, snake across the fields, marking boundaries that have stood for generations. In spring, wildflowers blanket the meadows, and in autumn, the trees glow gold and amber, casting a warm light over the land. This is the England that painters like J.M.W. Turner immortalized, and the landscapes that inspired countless lines of poetry. Life in the Cotswolds is about simplicity and tradition. Farmers' markets overflow with local produce, cheeses, ciders, honey, and fresh baked goods that carry the taste of the land. Village pubs, some of them centuries old, welcome you with roaring fireplaces, wooden beams, and hearty meals. Sit down with a pint of local ale, and you'll quickly realize that the Cotswolds are not just about scenery, they're about community. Here, conversations matter, and time is measured in stories, not in minutes. The region is also rich in history. Old wool churches, built from the wealth of the medieval wool trade, still stand proudly, with stained glass windows and towering spires. Manor houses and stately homes dot the landscape, each telling stories of England's past. One such place is Sudeley Castle, once home to Queen Catherine Parr, the last wife of Henry VIII. Walking its gardens and halls is like walking back through Tudor history. Even the smallest villages hold hidden treasures, ancient churches, old mills, and cottages that have stood for hundreds of years. For those who love to walk, the Cotswolds are a paradise. The Cotswold Way, a long-distance trail that runs over 100 miles, takes you along ridges and valleys, through beach, woodlands, and past quiet hamlets. Standing on a hilltop, you might gaze out over patchwork fields, with church spires rising in the distance and a horizon that seems to stretch forever. It's a landscape that encourages reflection, a place where the chaos of the modern world fades into silence. But the Cotswolds are not frozen in time, they are alive with culture and creativity. Art galleries showcase local talent, music festivals bring villages together, and gardens burst into life with every season. In summer, lavender fields bloom in a sea of purple, filling the air with their calming scent. In winter, Christmas markets light up the squares, with carolers singing under frosty skies. Every season brings a new layer of charm, making the Cotswolds a destination that never grows old. Perhaps what makes the Cotswolds so unforgettable is the feeling it leaves you with. It's not just about what you see, it's about what you feel. A walk down a quiet village lane reminds you of the value of slowness, The sight of children feeding ducks on a riverbank reminds you of innocence. The laughter inside a pub reminds you of connection. The Cotswolds teach you that beauty is found in simplicity, and that sometimes the most extraordinary places are the quietest ones. As we leave the rolling hills behind, the journey through England continues, each step revealing a new chapter of its story. From rural villages and timeless countryside, we now travel north to a city of mystery and history, one of learning, dreaming, and haunting tales. Next, we'll walk the streets of Oxford, the city of dreaming spires, where knowledge has flourished for centuries, and where every corner whispers secrets of the past. Explore the mystery of Stonehenge and its ancient secrets. Have you ever walked into a place and felt the weight of centuries pressing down on you, as if every stone, every arch, every echo carried the voices of the past? That's the sensation of arriving in Oxford, the legendary city of dreaming spires. It isn't just a city, it's a living monument to knowledge, discovery, and the enduring human desire to understand the world. For nearly 1,000 years, scholars, poets, scientists, and thinkers have walked these streets, shaping history in ways that continue to influence our lives today. Oxford is not only about books and libraries, it's about dreams, ambition, and the pursuit of wisdom. The heart of Oxford beats within its university, the oldest in the English-speaking world. Founded in the 12th century, Oxford University is not a single campus, but a collection of independent colleges, each with its own history, traditions, and stunning architecture. Picture it: ivy-covered walls, grand dining halls with wooden tables stretching endlessly beneath portraits of past scholars, and courtyards so perfectly designed that they feel frozen in time. Each college is like a self-contained world where the past and present blend seamlessly. Walking through Magdalen College, with its tower rising above green meadows, or Christ Church, whose cathedral doubles as a college chapel, you feel like you're stepping into a storybook. Christ Church is perhaps the most famous of all, not only for its grandeur, but also for its role in literature and film. Its Great Hall inspired the dining hall in the Harry Potter films, and its architecture has captivated visitors for centuries. Here, you can imagine generations of students debating, dreaming, and shaping ideas that would ripple across the world. And it's not just Harry Potter. Oxford has inspired countless authors. Lewis Carroll, who studied at Christ Church, created Alice's Adventures in Wonderland from these very surroundings. J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis would meet in Oxford pubs, dreaming up Middle-earth and Narnia. Philip Pullman drew from Oxford's atmosphere to create the magical, alternate realities of his dark materials. In Oxford, the boundary between reality and imagination is as thin as the pages of a book. Beyond the colleges lies the Bodleian Library, one of the oldest libraries in Europe, and a temple of knowledge. With over 13 million printed items, it's a sanctuary of learning where silence speaks louder than words. Stepping inside, you're struck by the beauty of vaulted ceilings, ancient manuscripts, and rows upon rows of leather-bound volumes. This library has been the intellectual heart of Oxford for centuries, used by scholars who changed the course of history, men and women who pushed the boundaries of science, philosophy, and politics. Imagine Shakespeare's contemporaries poring over books here, or scientists reading works that would one day change the world. The Bodleian isn't just a library, it's a cathedral of ideas. But Oxford is not only about the past. It is a city alive with energy. Students from every corner of the globe arrive here, filling its streets with ambition and curiosity. Bicycles line the streets, bells ringing as students rush from lectures to tutorials. Cafes and bookshops hum with quiet conversations, while green lawns and gardens offer space for reflection. This blend of youthful vitality and ancient tradition is what makes Oxford feel timeless. It isn't just a relic of the past, it's a place that continues to shape the future. The city itself is breathtaking. Gothic towers and spires rise into the sky, earning Oxford its poetic nickname. At sunset, the golden stone buildings glow as if lit from within, and their reflections shimmer in the River Thames, known locally as the Isis. Punts glide along the river, carrying students and visitors through shaded waterways. The sound of laughter drifts across the water, mingling with birdsong and the rustle of trees. It's a scene that feels almost unchanged for centuries, as though time itself pauses along the banks of Oxford's rivers. History lives in every corner of Oxford. Walk down narrow, cobbled streets, and you'll find hidden pubs that have stood for hundreds of years, places where great minds gathered to debate over pints of ale. Visit the Radcliffe Camera, one of the most iconic buildings in England, with its striking circular dome rising proudly above the city. Or stand beneath the Bridge of Sighs, a stunning architectural gem that links two parts of Hertford College. Each landmark tells its own story, but together they form a city unlike any other, a city where the past is never truly past. Oxford also carries an air of mystery. Ghost stories whisper through its alleys, and legends surround its ancient halls. Some say the spirits of scholars still walk the corridors, guarding their knowledge for eternity. Others speak of secret tunnels beneath the colleges, used in times of war and rebellion. Whether these tales are true or not, they add to the atmosphere of Oxford, a place where reality and myth intertwine, where the city itself feels like a character in a grand story. What makes Oxford unforgettable is not just its beauty, but its spirit. It is a city of ambition, where ordinary people dare to dream extraordinary dreams. It is a city of inspiration, where ideas leapt off the page and changed the course of history. And it is a city of belonging, where generation after generation of students, writers, and thinkers found a home for their curiosity. Oxford teaches us that learning is not confined to classrooms. It lives in the air, in the streets, in the very stones beneath our feet. As we leave the dreaming spires behind, our journey through England continues, pulling us further north into landscapes of wild beauty and timeless legend. Next, we'll wander into the Lake District, a land of soaring peaks, glassy lakes, and poetic inspiration, where nature itself has shaped rugged cliffs, charming fishing villages, and legends of King Arthur. Have you ever stood before a landscape so breathtaking, so overwhelmingly beautiful, that words seem to fall short? A place where the air feels purer, where mountains cradle glassy lakes, and where silence itself seems to carry poetry. That is the feeling of arriving in the Lake District, one of England's greatest treasures. Here, nature is not just scenery, it's a masterpiece that has inspired artists, poets, and dreamers for centuries. When you set foot in this land of rolling hills, rugged peaks, and shimmering waters, you understand why so many call it the heart of England's soul. The Lake District, or the Lakes, as it's affectionately known, lies in northwest England, a UNESCO World Heritage Site that captures the raw power of nature and the quiet serenity of the countryside. Its charm lies in its contrasts: mountains that rise dramatically into the sky, valleys carved by ancient glaciers, and lakes so still they reflect the heavens like mirrors. As you wander its winding trails, you'll feel both the grandeur of the wilderness and the intimate peace of quiet woodlands. It is a place that seems to exist outside of time, untouched yet deeply tied to history. At the center of it all is Windermere, the largest and perhaps most famous of the lakes. Stretching over 10 miles, Windermere shimmers like liquid silver under the sun, surrounded by quaint villages, stone cottages, and lush green hills. Boats glide lazily across its surface, their ripples breaking the stillness. On its shores, Bowness-on-Windermere welcomes visitors with bustling shops, cozy tea rooms, and the kind of warmth that feels uniquely English. And as you look out over the lake, you realize that this view has hardly changed in centuries. It's the same landscape that inspired countless writers and painters. But the Lake District is not only about beauty, it's about words. Few places in the world are so deeply tied to poetry. This is the land of William Wordsworth, the great romantic poet who found endless inspiration here. His home, Dove Cottage in Grasmere, still stands as a shrine to creativity. Imagine him, wandering through daffodil-filled meadows, gazing at the tranquil waters, and turning those moments into verses that still stir our hearts today. His famous line, "I wandered lonely as a cloud," was born here, from these very hills and valleys. When you walk the same paths, you almost feel his presence, as though the landscape itself whispers lines of poetry to those willing to listen. The literary connections don't end with Wordsworth. Samuel Taylor Coleridge, another romantic giant, roamed these mountains. His imagination is wild as the peaks themselves. Beatrix Potter, creator of Peter Rabbit and beloved children's tales, found her muse in the gentle countryside and rolling farmland. She dedicated her life to preserving the Lake District, ensuring its beauty would remain untouched for generations. Every stone wall, every winding lane, every shimmering lake has been immortalized in words, drawings, and stories that reach far beyond England's borders. But to truly know the Lake District, you must step into its wilderness. Follow the trails that snake through valleys and climb to peaks like Scafell Pike, England's tallest mountain. Standing on its summit, you're rewarded with sweeping views of rugged fells and deep glacial valleys stretching endlessly into the horizon. Or hike to Helvellyn, another towering peak where the infamous striding edge offers both thrill and awe as you walk along its narrow ridge. These are landscapes that test your spirit but reward you with a sense of freedom no city can ever offer. And yet, even in its grandeur, the Lake District offers moments of intimate stillness. Stroll around Derwentwater with its wooded islands and misty mornings. Watch the sun rise over Ullswater, turning the lake into a canvas of fire and gold. Listen to the gentle rush of waterfalls like Aeroforce, their music echoing through moss-covered rocks. Sit by Grasmere Lake, where the water laps quietly against the shore, and you'll feel as though time itself has slowed to match the rhythm of nature. What makes the Lake District so remarkable is its ability to connect us with something deeper. It reminds us of the power of nature to heal, to inspire, and to ground us. Here, you're not just a visitor, you're part of the story. The same landscapes that stirred poets centuries ago still stir us today, reminding us that beauty is timeless and that inspiration waits in every sunrise, every breeze, every quiet reflection on the water. The villages that dot the lakes only add to its magic. Grasmere, Ambleside, Keswick each offers a glimpse into traditional English life, with stone cottages, bustling markets, and pubs that have stood for centuries. Here, you can taste the famous Grasmere gingerbread, a recipe unchanged since the 1800s, or sit by a fire with a warm drink after a day of exploring. It's not just about nature, it's about the warmth of people, the traditions that endure, and the simple joys that make life meaningful. As the day ends and the sun sinks behind the hills, the lakes transform once more. The water reflects the fiery sky, the peaks turn dark against the fading light, and a quiet stillness blankets the land. It is a silence filled not with emptiness, but with peace, the kind of peace that lingers in your soul long after you've left. The Lake District is not just a destination, it is an experience, a feeling, a reminder of the harmony between humanity and the natural world. It is a place where you don't just see beauty, you live it, breathe it, and carry it with you forever. And as we leave behind this land of lakes and poetry, our journey through England continues. Next, we'll step into the historic streets of York, a city of Vikings and Romans, cathedrals and cobblestones, where every corner hides a story waiting to be told. Majestic lakes, mountains, and the land of poets like Wordsworth. Imagine walking through a city where every street feels like a portal to the past. Narrow lanes twist and turn, lined with crooked medieval houses leaning in toward each other, as if whispering secrets of centuries gone by. Towering above it all, a cathedral so grand it seems almost otherworldly pierces the sky. This is York, a city where history is not locked away in museums, but woven into the very fabric of its streets. Here, the ghosts of Romans, Vikings, and kings walk beside you, and every step tells a story that has shaped England for nearly 2,000 years. York is one of England's most extraordinary cities, and to wander its ancient streets is to step into a living timeline. Founded by the Romans in AD 71, this city has been conquered, rebuilt, and reimagined countless times. Yet it never loses its identity. It is a place of resilience, a city that has endured battles, invasions, and plagues, and still stands proud as a jewel of English history. The moment you arrive, you feel its weight, the way the air itself seems thick with memory. The most iconic landmark is York Minster, one of the largest and most magnificent cathedrals in all of Europe. Its Gothic spires dominate the skyline, a masterpiece of architecture that took over 250 years to build. Step inside, and you are immediately overwhelmed by the sheer scale of the nave, the delicate carvings, and the kaleidoscope of light streaming through the stained glass windows. The Great East Window, completed in the 15th century, is the largest expanse of medieval stained glass in the world. As sunlight pours through it, you understand why people for centuries have described this place as heaven on earth. But York is not just about grand cathedrals, it is about streets that feel alive with stories. Take the Shambles, perhaps the most famous medieval street in England. Its timber-framed buildings lean at impossible angles, their upper floors nearly touching above your head. Once home to butchers, the street now bustles with charming shops, tea rooms, and quirky boutiques. Yet as you walk down its cobbled path, you can almost hear the echoes of the past, the shouts of merchants, the clatter of carts, the rhythm of life from 600 years ago. Beyond its picturesque charm, York is a city of conquerors and invaders. The Romans built mighty walls around it, much of which still stands today. Walk along those city walls, and you'll see York from a perspective that few cities in the world can offer, a blend of ancient defense and modern life unfolding below. After the Romans came the Vikings. In 866 AD, the Great Viking army stormed the city and renamed it Jorvik. The Norsemen left an indelible mark on its culture, trade, and language. Today, the Jorvik Viking Center allows visitors to step into that world where the sounds, smells, and sights of Viking York are vividly recreated. It's more than history, it's an immersion into another age. Everywhere you turn in York, legends linger. Ghost stories are as common as the cobblestones. York is often called the most haunted city in England, with tales of Roman soldiers marching through basements, monks wandering cathedral grounds, and children's laughter echoing through abandoned houses. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, the atmosphere of York, at night dim lanterns casting shadows on ancient stone, makes it easy to imagine the spirits of the past still walking alongside you. But York is also a place of culture and community, not just history. Its winding streets are filled with cozy cafes, traditional pubs, and lively markets. Here, you can savor classic Yorkshire pudding, warm up with a hearty ale, or indulge in handmade chocolates from one of the city's renowned sweet shops. The Yorkshire Museum offers treasures from Roman mosaics to Viking artifacts, while the National Railway Museum celebrates the city's role in the industrial age, housing some of the greatest trains ever built. And then there's Clifford's Tower, standing proudly on its grassy mound. Built by William the Conqueror, it has witnessed both triumph and tragedy, from royal ceremonies to the darkest moments of persecution. From its summit, the view of York stretches out in all directions, a panorama of rooftops, spires, and history at your feet. York is a city where time folds in on itself. You can sip coffee in a modern cafe while sitting in a building older than most countries. You can trace the footsteps of Romans and Vikings in the morning, then enjoy Shakespeare performed in the evening. It is this layering of eras, this constant dialogue between past and present, that makes York so mesmerizing. As the day ends, York takes on a different kind of beauty. The Minster glows golden in the setting sun, the cobbled streets quieten, and a calm settles over the city. Walking through the Shambles at night, with lanterns flickering against timber beams, you feel transported to another time entirely. York doesn't just preserve history, it invites you to live inside it. In York, You don't just see the past, you feel it. You breathe it. And it reminds you of the timelessness of human stories, of how every empire, every age, every people leaves behind a mark that shapes what comes after. York is a city where history is never silent. It speaks through the stones, the streets, and the skies. And as we leave this city of cathedrals and conquerors, our journey through England continues. Next, we'll head to the rugged coastline of Cornwall, where wild cliffs meet crashing waves, and legends of King Arthur still echo through the ruins of Tintagel Castle. Explore York, medieval walls, and Yorkshire dales. Close your eyes and imagine standing on the edge of a cliff, the wind whipping through your hair, the roar of waves crashing far below, and the scent of salt heavy in the air. The ocean stretches endlessly before you, wild and untamed, its waves hammering against jagged rocks that have stood for millennia. This is Cornwall, a land where the sea is both friend and foe, a place of breathtaking beauty and ancient legend. From golden beaches to rugged headlands, from mystical castles to charming fishing villages, Cornwall is not just a destination, it is a storybook brought to life. Cornwall lies at the southwestern tip of England, a peninsula reaching defiantly into the Atlantic Ocean. It feels like another world entirely, where the pace slows, the horizons widen, and the spirit of adventure lingers in the salty air. What makes Cornwall unforgettable is its ability to blend natural wonder with myth and history. The landscapes here are as dramatic as any painter's canvas, rolling moors, secret coves, and cliffs that seem to touch the sky. But beyond the scenery, there is an energy, a sense of timeless mystery that has inspired countless legends, songs, and stories. One of the most iconic sights in Cornwall is Tintagel Castle, perched high above the sea on a rocky headland. Ruins of stone cling to the cliffs, battered by centuries of wind and tide. But Tintagel is far more than a ruin. It is the legendary birthplace of King Arthur, the mythical warrior who united Britain. As you cross the dramatic footbridge to reach the site, you cannot help but feel the pull of legend. Standing among the weathered stones, gazing out over the vast ocean, it is easy to imagine Merlin himself whispering prophecies in the caves below, or Arthur's knights riding across the windswept cliffs. The line between history and myth blurs here, and perhaps that is what makes Tintagel so haunting. Cornwall is also home to some of the most spectacular coastlines in England. Places like Land's End, the very edge of the country where sheer cliffs plunge into restless seas, remind you of the raw power of nature. To stand there is to feel small and yet profoundly alive, humbled by the vastness of the ocean stretching out before you. Then there are the golden beaches like Porthcurno, Fistral, and Kynance Cove, each offering its own slice of paradise. Some are lively, perfect for surfers chasing the perfect wave, while others are quiet havens where you can walk for miles, accompanied only by the cry of gulls and the rhythm of the tide. But Cornwall is not only wild, it is deeply charming. Dotted along the coast are fishing villages like St. Ives, Polperro, and Mousehole, with their narrow lanes, colorful boats, and cottages that seem frozen in time. St. Ives, in particular, has become a haven for artists, drawn to its soft light and coastal beauty. Galleries and studios fill the town, while cafes spill out onto cobbled streets. Sit with a cream tea by the harbor, and you will understand why so many fall in love with this corner of England. For centuries, Cornwall was also the heart of England's tin mining industry. Today, the remnants of that history stand proudly on the cliffs, engine houses, and chimneys silhouetted against the horizon. These haunting ruins, now part of a UNESCO World Heritage Site, tell the story of the miners who carved out their lives deep beneath the ground, their toil forever entwined with Cornwall's rugged landscape. Walking among these relics, you feel the resilience of those who lived here, surviving on the edge of the land and sea. Cornwall is steeped in folklore, and it seems every stone, cove, and moor carries a tale. From mermaids luring sailors to their doom, to giants said to roam the cliffs, to ghostly lights leading ships astray, this is a land where imagination thrives. One of the most enduring legends is that of the lost land of Lyonesse, a kingdom said to have stretched between Cornwall and the Isles of Scilly before sinking beneath the waves. To this day, fishermen claim that on calm days, they can hear the church bells of Lyonesse ringing beneath the sea. And then there is St. Michael's Mount, rising dramatically from the sea like something out of a fairy tale. Linked to the mainland by a causeway that appears only at low tide, this tidal island is crowned with a medieval castle and church. Walking across the causeway as the sea recedes feels like stepping into another world. Once there, the views across Mount's Bay are spectacular, and the stories surrounding the mount, from battles with giants to tales of miracles, add to its enchantment. Cornwall also offers moments of pure tranquility. Wander across Bodmin Moor, with its wind-swept heather and granite tors, and you'll feel the vast openness of nature around you. On misty days, the moor takes on a haunting quality, shrouded in mystery, as though hiding secrets from centuries past. And when the sun breaks through, it reveals a beauty both stark and sublime. As evening falls, there is nothing quite like watching the sun set over the Cornish coast. The sky turns shades of fire and gold. The waves shimmer with reflected light, and for a moment, the world feels suspended in time. Whether you're perched on a cliff at Land's End, strolling the sands of a hidden beach, or watching the tide embrace St. Michael's Mount, Cornwall leaves you with a feeling that is hard to describe but impossible to forget. Cornwall is not just a place, it is an experience, a blend of myth, history, and nature that leaves a permanent mark on those who visit. It is wild, yet welcoming, ancient, yet alive, mysterious, yet deeply comforting. It is where England meets the sea and where legends live on. And as we leave behind Cornwall's rugged beauty, our journey through England continues. Next, we travel inland to the rolling hills and honey-colored villages of the Cotswolds, a landscape straight out of a storybook, where time seems still and every view looks like a painting. Enter the world of William Shakespeare, theaters, and Tudor architecture. Imagine walking into a painting rolling green hills, stretching as far as the eye can see, dotted with sheep grazing peacefully under a wide blue sky. Winding lanes lead to villages where cottages are built from golden stone, their walls glowing warmly in the sunlight, with roses climbing over doorways and smoke curling gently from chimneys. Time seems to slow here, as though the rush of the modern world cannot enter. This is the Cotswolds, one of England's most enchanting regions, and a place where every turn feels like a step into a fairy tale. The Cotswolds cover nearly 800 square miles of gentle countryside, stretching across 6 counties in the heart of England. Yet despite its size, what makes the Cotswolds extraordinary is not grandeur but charm. This is a land of detail, the curve of a stone bridge over a quiet stream, the sound of church bells ringing in a small town, the way golden sunlight catches the honey-colored limestone houses. It is a place that feels timeless, and it is little wonder that it has become one of the most beloved regions in all of England. One of the jewels of the Cotswolds is Bourton-on-the-Water, often called the Venice of the Cotswolds. A shallow river, the River Windrush, runs through the heart of the village, crossed by a series of low stone bridges. Children paddle in the water on warm days, ducks glide peacefully along, and the whole scene feels idyllic. Cafes, tare rooms, and little shops line the banks, inviting visitors to linger. It is a place where you can sit with a cup of tea and feel that the world has slowed down just for you. Then there is Bybury, once described by the artist William Morris as the most beautiful village in England. At the heart of Bybury lies Arlington Row, a cluster of stone cottages dating back to the 14th century, their steep roofs and ivy-covered walls forming a scene so perfect it feels almost unreal. This row of cottages has become one of the most photographed sights in England, and when you stand there, with the river running nearby and the sound of birds in the air, you understand why. The Cotswolds are filled with villages like this Castlecombe, with its medieval charm, Stow-on-the-Wold, with its lively market square, and Chipping Campden, with its graceful old buildings and long high street. Each village tells its own story, shaped by centuries of history yet preserved with loving care. Walking through them feels like stepping back in time, as though the hustle of the modern world has been gently left outside. But the Cotswolds are more than just villages. The landscape itself is a masterpiece of English countryside. Rolling hills, known locally as wolds, stretch in every direction, their gentle slopes covered in patchwork fields divided by ancient stone walls. Narrow lanes wind between hedgerows, leading to hidden valleys where wildflowers bloom in spring and summer. In autumn, the trees blaze with gold and red, and in winter, the villages look like something out of a Christmas card, dusted with frost or snow. Every season here has its own magic, and every walk feels like a story unfolding. History runs deep in the Cotswolds. Many of the villages grew rich from the medieval wool trade, when English sheep were prized across Europe for their fine fleece. The wealth of that era built the grand wool churches that still stand proudly today, their towers rising above the countryside. Inside, you find intricate carvings, stained glass, and monuments that tell the story of generations. Even the smallest village often has a church that feels far too grand for its size, a reminder of the prosperity that once flowed through these hills. The Cotswolds are also home to stately homes and gardens that capture the elegance of England's past. Places like Sudeley Castle, with its royal connections, and Hidcote Manor Garden, with its world-famous design, show another side of the region. Walking through these gardens, with their hidden corners, fountains, and perfectly trimmed hedges, feels like wandering through a living work of art. And yet, despite all this beauty, the Cotswolds never feel overwhelming. There is a simplicity here, a balance between nature and human life, that makes it deeply comforting. It is in the small things, the sound of a blackbird singing at dusk, the taste of fresh-baked scones with clotted cream, the way a narrow lane suddenly opens to reveal a sweeping view across the hills. These details are what make the Cotswolds unforgettable. As you explore, you cannot help but feel a sense of peace. The pace of life is slower, the air fresher, the beauty quieter but no less powerful. It is no wonder that so many artists, writers, and dreamers have found inspiration here. The Cotswolds seem to whisper that it is okay to pause, to breathe, to notice the world around you. And when the day draws to a close and the sun sets over the hills, painting the sky in soft shades of pink and gold, the villages glow with a warm light. You might find yourself in a cozy pub with a roaring fire and a hearty meal, surrounded by laughter and conversation. Or perhaps you walk outside into the stillness of the countryside, where the stars shine brightly in the dark sky. In those moments, the Cotswolds feel eternal, a place where the spirit rests and the heart feels at home. The Cotswolds are more than a destination. They are an experience of English life at its most graceful, its most picturesque, its most timeless. To be here is to step into a story where beauty is found not in extravagance, but in harmony, simplicity, and charm. And as we leave behind the golden villages and rolling hills, our journey through England now takes us north, to a city that once shaped the world with its industry and innovation, a city of canals, culture, and creativity. Next, we arrive in Manchester, the beating heart of England's industrial revolution, and a place where past and future come together in powerful harmony. A spiritual journey into one of England's most sacred cities. The moment you step into Manchester, you feel the pulse of a city that changed the world. Once known as the workshop of the Industrial Revolution, Manchester became the beating heart of innovation, invention, and energy that defined modern industry. This is the city where steam engines roared, textile mills thundered, and great thinkers reimagined the way humans lived and worked. Yet, Manchester is more than its history. It is a city of resilience, reinvention, and unstoppable creativity. From its powerful industrial past to its thriving cultural present, Manchester is a place that never stops moving forward. In the 18th and 19th centuries, Manchester was nicknamed Cottonopolis. The city's textile mills and factories produced cotton goods that were exported to every corner of the world. Canals and railways, including the world's very first passenger railway line, connected Manchester to global trade routes, making it a hub of commerce and progress. Walking through the city today, you can still see reminders of this history in the red brick warehouses, the towering chimneys, and the preserved canals that once carried goods across the nation. These buildings stand like monuments to a time when Manchester was not just a city, it was the engine room of a revolution. But Manchester's story isn't only about machines and factories. It is also about people. Workers' struggles in the mills gave rise to movements that changed society forever. From the fight for better working conditions to the birth of trade unions, Manchester became a city of progress and social change. The famous Peterloo Massacre of 1819, when peaceful protesters demanded representation, is remembered here as a pivotal moment in the fight for democracy. Walking through St. Peter's Square today, you can almost feel the echoes of those who stood up for justice, their voices shaping the freedoms we know today. Yet Manchester didn't stay locked in the past. Over the decades, it reinvented itself again and again. Today, it is one of England's most dynamic cities, blending heritage with cutting-edge modern life. The grand libraries, like the John Rylands Library with its Gothic halls filled with rare books, stand alongside futuristic skyscrapers like the Beetham Tower. Old warehouses have been transformed into stylish lofts, creative studios, and buzzing restaurants. The once industrial canals are now lined with cafes and bars where locals gather, reflecting a city that thrives on renewal. Manchester is also a city of music. From Joy Division and the Smiths to Oasis, the sound of Manchester has echoed across the world for decades. It was here, in small clubs and legendary venues, that music movements were born and shaped entire generations. Even today, the city is alive with sound indie bands in hidden pubs, electronic beats in warehouses, orchestras in grand halls. Music isn't just entertainment here. It is identity, passion, and pride. And then, of course, there is football. Few places on earth can claim a passion for the sport like Manchester. Home to two of the most famous football clubs in the world, Manchester United and Manchester City, the city lives and breathes the game. Match days are electric, with fans filling pubs, singing in the streets, and creating an atmosphere that is impossible to describe until you feel it yourself. Football here is more than sport. It is a way of life, a bond that connects generations and communities. Beyond its industrial heritage, its music, and its football, Manchester is also a city of culture and learning. Museums like the Museum of Science and Industry celebrate the city's groundbreaking role in innovation, while the Manchester Art Gallery and the Whitworth display masterpieces from around the world. The University of Manchester, one of the UK's leading institutions, has been home to brilliant minds, including those who helped split the atom and discover graphene, a material that could shape the future. This is a city that never stops asking questions, never stops pushing boundaries. And what makes Manchester truly special is its spirit. This is a city that has faced challenges, economic downturns, industrial decline, even tragedy, but each time it has risen stronger with a resilience that inspires. The people of Manchester, known for their warmth and pride, carry this energy. They welcome visitors with open arms, eager to share their city's story, its food, its humor, its love of life. As evening falls, Manchester transforms. The lights of the city reflect on the canals, music drifts out from bustling venues, and the streets buzz with life. Whether you are wandering through the historic Northern Quarter with its street art and indie cafes, enjoying fine dining in the city center, or experiencing the nightlife that never seems to rest, Manchester has a way of making you feel alive, part of something bigger, something moving, something unstoppable. Manchester is not just a chapter in England's history. It is a force that continues to shape the future. It is the city of workers, of dreamers, of innovators and creators. It is the city where revolutions began and where new ones are already forming. To stand in Manchester is to stand at the crossroads of past and future, where every brick, every note of music, Every cheer from the stadium tells a story of resilience and progress. And now, as we leave behind the energy of Manchester, our journey takes us further north, into the wild beauty of England's Lake District. There, in the land of mountains, lakes, and poets, we will discover a different kind of power, not the roar of industry, but the quiet majesty of nature at its most breathtaking. Close your eyes for a moment and picture this. A land of deep, shimmering lakes, rolling green valleys, and mountains rising dramatically into the sky. A place where every sunrise paints the water gold and every sunset cloaks the peaks in purple shadows. This is the Lake District, England's most breathtaking natural wonder. Known as a land that has inspired poets, artists, and dreamers for centuries, it is more than just a destination. It is an escape into pure beauty, where time slows down and the soul feels free. The Lake District, often simply called the Lakes, is a UNESCO World Heritage Site and England's largest national park. Spanning nearly 900 square miles in the northwest of the country, it is home to 16 major lakes, countless smaller tarns, and rugged fells that stretch endlessly across the horizon. Here, nature takes center stage, and the drama of the landscape leaves every visitor in awe. It's no wonder that writers like William Wordsworth, Samuel Taylor Coleridge, and Beatrix Potter found their greatest inspiration here. In the lakes, every footpath feels like a poem waiting to be written. Imagine standing on the shores of Windermere, England's largest lake, stretching over 10 miles long. Its still waters mirror the surrounding hills, and boats glide quietly across its surface. On a calm day, it feels like a world suspended between earth and sky. Villages like Bowness and Ambleside, nestled along its edges, offer the charm of stone cottages, cozy pubs, and views that make you want to linger forever. Walking along Windermere's trails, you feel an extraordinary peace, the kind that can only be found when nature takes your hand and silences the noise of the world. But the Lake District isn't just about gentle waters, it is about towering peaks and thrilling climbs. Scafell Pike, England's highest mountain, rises proudly to 978 meters. For adventurers, scaling its rugged trails is a challenge and a triumph, rewarding hikers with sweeping views that stretch as far as Scotland on a clear day. Standing at the summit, with the wind rushing around you and the lakes glittering far below, you understand why this landscape has been celebrated for centuries. Every climb, every step, feels like part of a larger journey of discovery. The lakes are also a land of stories. At Grasmere, a quaint village surrounded by lush hills, you can step into the world of William Wordsworth, the great romantic poet who called this place home. His famous Dove cottage still stands, filled with memories of his life and work. Just beyond, the calm waters of Grasmere Lake invite quiet reflection, the same kind that inspired Wordsworth's timeless verses about nature and humanity. The connection between the lakes and literature is deep, a reminder that beauty here doesn't just touch the eyes, it touches the heart. And then there is Beatrix Potter, whose beloved tales of Peter Rabbit and friends were born in these hills and meadows. Her home at Hilltop is preserved as she left it, a window into her world of imagination. Potter not only wrote stories here, but also worked passionately to preserve the Lake District's landscapes, ensuring future generations could experience the same magic. Walking through her gardens, or the countryside she loved, you feel as if you've stepped into one of her illustrated pages, where every hedgerow and stream whispers with possibility. What makes the Lake District so unique is its harmony between rugged wilderness and warm hospitality. After a day of hiking or boating, you can retreat into one of the many welcoming inns or traditional pubs, where hearty meals and local ales restore your energy. Villages like Keswick, Hawkshead, and Coniston combine natural beauty with vibrant community spirit, offering markets, art galleries, and festivals that celebrate the culture of the region. It's a place where nature and people live side by side, each enhancing the other's beauty. The lakes themselves are as diverse as the landscapes they sit in. Ullswater, long and winding, is often called the most beautiful of them all. Its mirror-like waters are perfect for sailing or kayaking, framed by fells that change colors with the seasons. Derwent Water, near Keswick, feels like a painting, dotted with little wooded islands and surrounded by dramatic peaks. Each lake has its own personality, its own rhythm, and exploring them one by one is like opening chapters of an endless story. Autumn in the lakes paints the hill in fiery shades of gold and crimson. Winter brings snow that dusts the mountaintops, turning the valleys into serene wonderlands. Spring awakens the fields with daffodils, immortalized by Wordsworth's poetry, and summer sees the lakes sparkle under long, golden evenings. Each season transforms the landscape, making the lakes a place you can return to again and again, always discovering something new. But perhaps what makes the Lake District unforgettable is its ability to connect you deeply with nature. As you walk through its trails, climb its peaks, or simply sit by the water's edge, you feel a shift, a reminder of how small we are, yet how connected we are to the vast, eternal beauty of the earth. The lakes invite reflection, renewal, and a sense of wonder that lingers long after you leave. As night falls, the skies above the Lake District reveal another wonder, stars shining brightly over the dark silhouettes of mountains and water. The silence is profound, broken only by the whisper of wind through the trees or the gentle lap of water against the shore. It is here, under these skies, that the Lake District shows its greatest gift, the power to remind us of what truly matters: peace, beauty, and connection to the world around us. The Lake District is not just a place you visit. It is a place that stays with you, in your memory and in your soul. A landscape of endless inspiration, of untamed beauty, of quiet strength. And as we leave these rolling hills and shimmering lakes behind, our journey through England takes us further north to a land of mystery and rugged coastlines where castles rise from the cliffs and legends linger in the winds of Northumberland. England's industrial revolution, football passion, and modern urban culture. Close your eyes and imagine standing on a windswept hill where the land stretches out endlessly beneath a wide, open sky. To your north, the rugged coastline of the North Sea crashes against towering cliffs. To your south, rolling green fields fade into the horizon. And running across this wild, dramatic landscape lies a stone wall, built nearly 2,000 years ago by the most powerful empire the world had ever known. This is Northumberland, England's untamed frontier, and at its heart stands Hadrian's Wall, an ancient barrier of stone that once marked the very edge of the Roman Empire. Northumberland is a land that feels different from the rest of England. Remote, wild, and hauntingly beautiful. It carries an atmosphere of mystery. Here, history and legend live side by side. This is the land of medieval castles that rise from the coast like fortresses from a dream, of vast moors where silence reigns, and of Roman ruins that remind us of the struggles of ancient times. For travelers, Northumberland is both a step back into history and a journey into landscapes that stir the imagination. Hadrian's Wall is perhaps the most iconic landmark of this region. Built in 122 AD under the orders of Emperor Hadrian, walls stretched an astonishing 73 miles across northern England, from the Irish Sea in the west to the North Sea in the east. It was not just a wall, it was a symbol of power, a statement to the northern tribes that Rome's reach ended here, and that beyond lay lands untamed and unconquered. Imagine Roman soldiers standing guard, looking out over the misty hills, never knowing what danger or rebellion might come from the other side. Walking along its ruins today, you can almost hear the echoes of their footsteps, the clinking of their armor, and the weight of centuries pressing into the stones. Sections of Hadrian's Wall still stand tall against the sky, particularly around Houstead's Fort, one of the best preserved Roman military sites in Britain. Here, you can walk through the remains of barracks, granaries, and gateways, picturing the daily life of soldiers who lived on this harsh frontier. It is a place where history feels alive, where every stone tells a story of discipline, endurance, and the human struggle to build and protect an empire. But Northumberland is more than just the Romans. Its coastline is dotted with some of the most dramatic castles in all of England. Perhaps the most famous is Bamburgh Castle, perched high on a rocky plateau overlooking the crashing waves of the North Sea. Its imposing walls have stood for over 400 years, guarding this wild shoreline. Walking through its grand halls and towering battlements, you can sense the power and prestige it once commanded. At sunset, when the golden light bathes the castle in a fiery glow, it feels like stepping straight into a legend. Further south along the coast lies Alnwick Castle, another jewel of Northumberland. This magnificent stronghold is not only steeped in history, but also a star of the big screen. It appeared as Hogwarts in the Harry Potter films, drawing visitors from around the world. Inside, its lavish staterooms reflect centuries of noble heritage, while its gardens burst with life and color. Yet, beyond its fame, Alnwick remains a symbol of Northumberland's enduring strength, a place where past and present meet in striking harmony. For those who seek the magic of isolation, Lindisfarne, also known as Holy Island, is one of the most enchanting destinations in all of England. Accessible only at low tide by a causeway that disappears beneath the sea, this sacred island is home to ancient priory ruins, a serene castle, and a deep sense of spirituality. Lindisfarne was once the heart of early Christianity in Britain, and the birthplace of the stunning Lindisfarne Gospels, one of the world's greatest medieval manuscripts. Standing on its shores, with seabirds circling above and the waves endlessly rolling in, you feel the quiet holiness of the place, a reminder of faith, resilience, and the timeless rhythm of nature. Northumberland's landscapes are equally unforgettable. The Cheviot Hills rise gently against the border with Scotland, offering sweeping views across valleys and moorlands that feel untouched by time. This is England at its wildest, windswept, open, and free. Walking here is like stepping into another world, where silence stretches farther than the eye can see, broken only by the sound of the wind or the call of distant birds. For those who love nature, the Northumberland National Park is a paradise of solitude and beauty. And when night falls, Northumberland reveals another wonder: its skies. The county is home to some of the darkest skies in Europe, making it one of the best stargazing destinations in the world. The Kielder Observatory, set within Kielder Water Forest Park, offers visitors a chance to witness the Milky Way, distant galaxies, and shooting stars with astonishing clarity. Looking up into that vast, glittering expanse, you feel the same awe that ancient people must have felt as they watched the heavens, weaving myths and stories from the stars. What makes Northumberland truly special is how its history and landscape weave together into one seamless experience. It is a land of contrasts, harsh yet beautiful, ancient yet timeless, lonely yet profoundly inspiring. From Roman forts to medieval castles, from sacred islands to starlit skies, every corner of this county tells a story that pulls you deeper into its spell. As we leave the windswept hills of Northumberland and the shadow of Hadrian's Wall behind, our journey through England carries us to a place that feels like the very heartbeat of the nation. It is a city of kings and queens, of traditions that span centuries, and of landmarks recognized around the world. Next, we step into London, the capital, the icon, and the ever-changing soul of England. Explore natural beauty and a symbol of England's resilience. The heart of England beats in a city that has shaped the world for centuries, a place where every street tells a story, where ancient traditions coexist with modern dynamism, and where the past and future are forever intertwined. This is London, the capital of England, a city that has witnessed empires rise and fall, revolutions unfold, and cultures from every corner of the globe converge into one vibrant mosaic. London is not just a destination, it is an experience, a world within a city where history, power, and creativity collide. To stand in London is to stand in the shadow of kings and queens, writers and warriors, inventors and dreamers. Few places on earth carry such immense historical weight and yet pulse with the energy of the present day. From the Tower of London to the Shard, from Buckingham Palace to the bustling markets of Camden, London is a city of contrasts, each corner revealing a different face, a different story, a different era. Let us begin with one of its most iconic landmarks, the Tower of London. Built nearly 1,000 years ago by William the Conqueror, this fortress has served as a royal palace, a prison, a treasury, and even a zoo. Its walls have seen betrayal and loyalty, coronations and executions. The crown jewels, guarded fiercely within its vaults, continue to dazzle millions of visitors every year. Walking through its courtyards, you cannot help but feel the echoes of history, from the tragic fate of Anne Boleyn to the legend of the ravens that still guard the tower today. From the tower, the River Thames flows westward, carving its way through the heart of the city. Along its banks stand some of London's most famous sights. Tower Bridge, with its majestic twin towers, is not just an engineering marvel but a symbol of the city itself. Further along, the Houses of Parliament rise in Gothic splendor, their silhouette dominated by the towering clock face of Big Ben. Standing on Westminster Bridge as the bells toll, you feel the weight of centuries of democracy, debate, and decisions that have shaped not just England but the world. No journey through London would be complete without stepping into Buckingham Palace, the official residence of the British monarch. Here, the grandeur of staterooms and the precision of the changing of the guard embody the enduring traditions of the monarchy. For many, this palace represents the very soul of Britain, a living link between past and present, ceremony and power. Yet London is more than royalty and politics. It is a city of art and imagination. The British Museum houses treasures from every corner of the world, from the Rosetta Stone to the Elgin marbles. The Tate Modern, on the other hand, pushes the boundaries of creativity with its contemporary collections. And then there is the West End, London's dazzling theater district, where lights shine bright and stories come alive on stage, enchanting audiences night after night. London is also a city of green spaces, offering moments of peace amid the rush of urban life. Hyde Park, with its sprawling meadows and serene lakes, invites walkers, joggers, and dreamers alike. St. James's Park, with its blooming flowers and regal views, feels like an oasis of calm just steps away from Buckingham Palace. In Richmond Park, wild deer roam freely, reminding us that even in one of the world's busiest cities, nature still has its place. For those who crave the pulse of daily life, London's markets are a feast for the senses. Camden Market buzzes with creativity, offering everything from vintage fashion to street food from around the globe. Borough Market, on the other hand, is a paradise for food lovers. Its stalls brimming with artisanal breads, fine cheeses, and international delicacies. To wander these markets is to taste the world without ever leaving the city. And then there is the London skyline, a breathtaking blend of old and new. The dome of St. Paul's Cathedral rises proudly, a masterpiece of Sir Christopher Wren, standing in contrast to the glass spires of the modern financial district. The Shard pierces the clouds as Western Europe's tallest building, offering views that stretch for miles across the city. At night, when the London Eye glows beside the Thames and the lights of the city sparkle in every direction, it feels as though the entire world is alive around you. What makes London extraordinary is its ability to constantly reinvent itself while never losing its roots. It is a city of resilience, having survived fire, plague, and war, each time rising stronger, brighter, and more determined. It is a place where Shakespeare once wrote for the Globe Theatre, and where, today, digital innovators and global leaders shape the future. London belongs to the world, yet remains uniquely, unmistakably English. As our journey through London draws to a close, the city leaves an indelible mark on the soul. It is a place that overwhelms with grandeur, surprises with intimacy, and inspires with possibility. From the whisper of history in the Tower to the roar of the crowds in Piccadilly Circus, London is a story that never ends, a chapter that always invites you to turn the page. But England is more than its capital. Beyond the urban rush lies the quiet beauty of the countryside, where rolling hills, charming villages, and timeless traditions carry a different kind of magic. Next, We leave the heartbeat of London behind and travel west to the enchanting region of the Cotswolds, a land of golden stone cottages, winding country lanes, and landscapes that feel like a painting brought to life. Rolling hills, caves, and the inspiration for Jane Austen's novels. There are places in England that feel as though time itself has stood still, places where the modern world fades into the background, and you are transported into a storybook setting of rolling hills, golden cottages, and villages that seem untouched for centuries. This is the Cotswolds, often described as the most picturesque countryside in England. If London is the beating heart of history and progress, the Cotswolds are the soul, a reminder of the England that poets wrote about, painters dreamed of, and travelers longed to experience. Stretching across 6 counties, the Cotswolds are a patchwork of meadows, woodlands, and limestone villages, each one more enchanting than the last. The moment you arrive, the pace of life seems to change. The rush of the city melts away, replaced by the quiet hum of nature, the scent of fresh fields, and the sight of cottages built from honey-colored stone that glow warmly in the sunlight. It is a landscape where every turn of the road brings another postcard-perfect view, and every village tells its own quiet tale. One of the Cotswolds' greatest charms lies in its villages, each with its own distinct character. Bourton-on-the-Water, often called the Venice of the Cotswolds, is famous for the River Windrush, which flows gently through its center, crossed by elegant stone bridges. Ducks glide along the water, children play on the grassy banks, and tea rooms spill their warmth onto cobblestone streets. To stroll here is to step into a dream serene, idyllic, and timeless. Then there is Bybury, once described by artist William Morris as the most beautiful village in England. Its row of stone cottages, known as Arlington Row, dates back to the 14th century and has become one of the most photographed spots in the country. Covered in climbing ivy and surrounded by lush greenery, these cottages seem almost unreal, like the setting of a fairy tale. Standing here, you can imagine life centuries ago, quiet, simple, and deeply connected to the land. The Cotswolds are also home to charming market towns where centuries-old traditions still linger. Stow-on-the-Wold, perched high on a hill, has been a gathering place for traders since medieval times. Its market square is lined with antique shops, cozy pubs, and historic inns, each carrying echoes of the past. At the ancient doors of St. Edward's Church, framed by towering yew trees, it feels as though you've stepped into a scene from a fantasy novel. But the Cotswolds are not only about villages and markets, they are about landscapes that stir the soul. Rolling hills stretch as far as the eye can see, dotted with sheep grazing peacefully, dry stone walls winding across the fields, and wildflowers blooming in the meadows. The region is crisscrossed by walking paths, including the famous Cotswold Way, which invites travelers to wander through valleys, woodlands, and hilltops that offer breathtaking panoramic view. For those who long for peace, this countryside is a sanctuary. History, too, lives quietly in the Cotswolds. Ancient wool churches, built when the region's sheep trade brought great wealth, still stand proudly, filled with stained glass and intricate carvings. Manor houses and estates, once home to nobility, now welcome visitors into their gardens and halls. And in the midst of it all, castles like Sudeley Castle whisper stories of kings, queens, and battles long past. Here, the grandeur of history blends seamlessly with the calm beauty of rural life. Yet perhaps what makes the Cotswolds truly unforgettable is the feeling it leaves with you. It is not only about what you see, but what you feel. The warmth of a village pub with a crackling fire, the sound of church bells echoing across a valley, the laughter of locals at a summer fair, the taste of fresh scones served with clotted cream and jam. Every moment feels authentic, rooted in tradition, yet welcoming to those who wander in from afar. As the sun sets over the golden hills, the landscape glows with a soft, almost magical light. Villages are bathed in amber, rivers reflect the colors of the sky, and the silence of the countryside feels sacred. It is in these quiet moments that the Cotswolds reveal their true beauty, not as a destination to be rushed through, but as a place to slow down, to breathe, and to remember the simple joys of life. The Cotswolds are more than a destination. They are a feeling, a memory, a piece of England that lingers in the heart long after you've left. To visit is to step into a timeless world, one that reminds us of the enduring beauty of tradition, nature, and peace. But as enchanting as the countryside may be, England's magic does not stop here. Beyond the rolling hills lies a city steeped in intellect, tradition, and academic brilliance, a city that has shaped minds and influenced the world for centuries. Next, we travel to Oxford, the city of dreaming spires, where history and learning intertwine in one of the world's greatest universities. A vibrant seaside town, the Royal Pavilion, and artistic culture. Few cities in the world carry an air of timeless wisdom quite like Oxford. Known as the City of Dreaming Spires, Oxford is not only a place, it is an idea, a symbol of learning, history, and intellectual brilliance that has shaped the course of human thought for nearly 1,000 years. From the moment you set foot in its cobblestone streets, you feel the weight of centuries pressing gently around you, as if every stone and every spire whispers secrets of scholars, poets, scientists, and leaders who once walked the same paths. This is not just a city to visit. It is a city to experience, to feel, to absorb. At the heart of Oxford is its world-famous university, one of the oldest and most prestigious in existence. Established in the 12th century, the University of Oxford is a collection of over 30 individual colleges, each with its own traditions, architecture, and history. As you wander through its courtyards and cloisters, you enter a world where time has folded in on itself. The quadrangles, lined with ivy and ancient stone walls, echo with the footsteps of some of the greatest minds in history, from philosophers like John Locke to scientists like Stephen Hawking, and even world leaders like Bill Clinton. The skyline of Oxford is unforgettable. The phrase, "dreaming spires," first coined by poet Matthew Arnold, perfectly captures the city's ethereal beauty. The Radcliffe Camera, with its magnificent circular dome, stands as one of Oxford's most iconic landmarks. Built in the 18th century as a library, it feels more like a temple dedicated to knowledge itself. Nearby, the Bodleian Library, one of the largest in the world, has been preserving the written word since 1602. Its vast collection is staggering, and stepping into its reading rooms feels like stepping into a sacred space where human thought has been treasured for centuries. But Oxford is not only about its grand libraries and historic colleges, it is about the stories they hold. Imagine J.R.R. Tolkien and C.S. Lewis sitting together at a pub called The Eagle and Child, discussing myths, legends, and the stories that would later become The Lord of the Rings and the Chronicles of Narnia. Picture Lewis Carroll, a mathematics lecturer here, weaving fantastical tales for the children he knew, tales that would become Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. These are not just tales of books, they are tales of imagination born in Oxford, ideas that spread far beyond its walls to enchant the entire world. Beyond literature, Oxford has been a cradle of scientific discovery and innovation. It was here that penicillin was first developed into a life-saving medicine. It was here that groundbreaking research into physics, medicine, and technology shaped the way we understand the universe. And it continues today. The spirit of discovery is alive in every laboratory, every lecture hall, every eager student who comes to learn and to push the boundaries of what we know. Yet Oxford is not only a place for scholars, it is a place of beauty. Its gardens bloom with roses and wisteria, and the River Thames, known here as the Isis, winds gently past college boathouses. On a sunny day, students and visitors alike take to the river and punt, gliding along the water as if in a painting, framed by weeping willows and ancient stone bridges. It is in these quiet moments that Oxford shows its softer side, a city that balances intense intellect with peaceful reflection. Every corner of Oxford carries a sense of wonder. Christ Church College, with its grand dining hall, inspired the Great Hall in the Harry Potter films, drawing fans from around the globe. The University Church of St. Mary the Virgin offers one of the best views of the city from its tower, where the spires and domes stretch out across the horizon like something from a dream. And Magdalen College, with its deer park and meadow, feels like a hidden sanctuary, untouched by time. But perhaps the true magic of Oxford lies in its atmosphere, the sense that you are walking in the footsteps of giants. You feel it when you enter a quiet cloister where generations of scholars have paused to think. You feel it when the bells toll across the city, marking the rhythm of days as they have for centuries. You feel it in the hum of students cycling down narrow lanes, carrying on traditions that are both ancient and alive. Oxford is not just a city of the past, it is a city of the future. The students who come here today are the leaders, thinkers, and dreamers of tomorrow. In its ancient halls, modern ideas are born, proving that history and progress do not compete but coexist in harmony. This blend of old and new is what makes Oxford extraordinary. It is as timeless as the spires that rise above it, yet as fresh and alive as the students who breathe life into it every day. As the sun sets, Oxford takes on an almost magical glow. The golden light bathes the spires, the cobblestones glisten, and the city feels suspended between reality and dream. It is no wonder that so many who come here never forget it. Oxford is more than a destination. It is a place that becomes part of you, a memory that lingers, a spark that ignites your imagination. From the dreaming spires of Oxford, our journey now takes us west, to another city where history, culture, and architecture shine brightly. A city built by the Romans, famed for its healing waters, and adored for its Georgian elegance. Next, we step into Bath, one of England's most graceful and fascinating destinations. Ancient Roman frontier, medieval castles, and a vibrant northern city. Imagine a city where every street feels like a film set, where golden stone glows in the sunlight, and history seems to rise from the very ground beneath your feet. This is Bath, an English masterpiece, born of Roman engineering, revived in Georgian splendor, and preserved as one of the most beautiful cities in the world. From its healing waters to its grand crescents, Bath is not merely a city to see, but a city to feel. Every corner tells a story, and every building carries a whisper from the past. Bath's history begins nearly 2,000 years ago with the Romans, who were drawn here by the natural hot springs bubbling up from deep beneath the earth. To the Romans, these steaming pools were a gift from the gods, a place of healing and divine connection. They built grand bathhouses and temples, the most famous dedicated to Sulis Minerva, a goddess of wisdom and healing. Today, visitors can still walk among these ruins at the Roman baths, marveling at the ingenuity of aqueducts, lead pipes, and heating systems that made this ancient spa a wonder of its time. Standing by the Great Bath, with steam rising from the warm water, you can almost hear the echoes of Roman voices, laughter, and prayers that once filled this sacred place. But Bath's story did not end with the Romans. In the 18th century, the city experienced a dazzling rebirth under the Georgian era, when fashionable society flocked here to take the waters for their supposed health benefits. Bath became the playground of aristocrats, writers, and socialites, transforming into a city of elegance and refinement. Architects like John Wood the Elder and his son designed sweeping terraces, graceful squares, and iconic crescents that gave Bath its signature look. The honey-colored Bath stone glows with warmth, especially at sunset, when the city seems to shimmer in shades of gold. The Royal Crescent is perhaps Bath's most famous architectural jewel. Completed in 1774, this sweeping arc of 30 townhouses is a triumph of Georgian design, its perfect symmetry facing a vast green lawn. To stand before it is to witness a vision of beauty frozen in stone, a vision so compelling that it remains one of the most photographed landmarks in England. Nearby, the circus, with its circular design inspired by Roman arenas and the Colosseum, creates another breathtaking sight. Walking through these spaces feels like stepping into a painting, where architecture and artistry merge seamlessly. No story of Bath is complete without mentioning its connection to one of the most beloved writers in history, Jane Austen. Though she had a complicated relationship with the city, her novels captured the elegance, gossip, and social games of Georgian Bath. Fans of her work can walk the same streets she described, visit the Jane Austen Center, or imagine the scenes of Persuasion and Northanger Abbey unfolding against the backdrop of Bath's elegant squares and assembly rooms. Bath Abbey, with its soaring Gothic spires, stained glass windows, and fan-vaulted ceilings, adds yet another layer of wonder to the city. Standing at its entrance, you are greeted by a unique carving of angels climbing ladders to heaven, a symbol of Bath's spiritual as well as architectural grandeur. Inside, the abbey glows with colored light as sunlight filters through its vast stained glass, creating a space that feels both divine and intimate. The bells ring out across the city, echoing against stone and water, reminding visitors of Bath's enduring heartbeat. Yet Bath is not only a city of buildings, it is a city of water. The hot springs still bubble as they did for the Romans, and today, visitors can experience their warmth at the Thermae Bath Spa, where rooftop pools offer stunning views of the surrounding city. To soak in the same waters that drew emperors, queens, and travelers centuries ago is to feel connected to something timeless, something eternal. Beyond its historic center, Bath is wrapped in natural beauty. The River Avon winds gently through the city, crossed by the graceful Pulteney Bridge, one of only a handful of bridges in the world lined with shops. Its elegant arches reflect on the water below, creating a picture-perfect view that has captivated painters and photographers for generations. Rolling hills and green countryside surround the city, offering tranquil walks and scenic escapes, making Bath not just a feast for the eyes, but also for the soul. Evenings in Bath have their own kind of magic. As the sun dips, the honey-colored stone of the building seems to glow, and the city transforms into a golden dream. Cafes and restaurants spill onto the cobblestones, offering local delights and international flavors. Street performers fill the air with music, while the flicker of lights reflects softly on the river. In these moments, Bath feels both alive and eternal, as if time has paused just long enough for you to savor its beauty. Bath is more than just a city, it is an experience that lingers long after you leave. It is the sensation of warm water against your skin, the sight of golden crescents curving against the sky, the sound of footsteps echoing in Roman chambers, the scent of blooming gardens drifting through Georgian streets. It is a place where past and present merge effortlessly, where history is not locked away in museums but woven into daily life. As we leave Bath behind, we journey northward to a city of music, culture, and vibrant energy. A city born of industry, reinvented through creativity, and celebrated for its bold spirit. Next, we arrive in Manchester, an industrial powerhouse that became the beating heart of innovation and remains one of England's most dynamic destinations. A cinematic conclusion tying together England's heritage, beauty, and future. Imagine a city that powered a revolution, a city whose smoke-filled skies once fueled the engines of change, and whose music, art, and innovation continue to inspire the world. This is Manchester, the birthplace of the Industrial Revolution, the home of legendary football, and a cultural hub that has reinvented itself time and time again. From its towering mills and canals to its thriving arts scene and bustling streets, Manchester tells a story of resilience, creativity, and boundless energy. In the late 18th century, Manchester earned the title Cottonopolis. It was here that the world's first fully industrialized city was born. Steam engines roared, textile mills spun cotton faster than ever before, and the city became a beacon of innovation. Canals carved their way through the city, linking it to ports and markets far beyond. Manchester's population exploded, with workers pouring in from the countryside and across Europe, each adding to the city's relentless drive for progress. Walking today along the Rochdale Canal or through Castlefield, you can still see the remnants of that industrial might: red brick warehouses, towering chimneys, and iron bridges that speak of an era when Manchester shaped the modern world. But Manchester is not just about machines and mills, it is about people. This city gave rise to powerful movements for workers' rights, education, and equality. The Peterloo Massacre of 1819, where peaceful protesters demanding parliamentary reform were brutally crushed, became a turning point in the fight for democracy. Later, the city nurtured the suffragette movement, with Emmeline Pankhurst leading the charge for women's right to vote. To visit Manchester is to stand on the shoulders of giants, in a place that has always fought for justice and progress. Manchester is also a city of learning and discovery. The University of Manchester has been the birthplace of groundbreaking research, from splitting the atom to discovering graphene. Nobel Prizes have been won here, and the spirit of curiosity and innovation continues to thrive. It is a reminder that Manchester's story is not only about the past, but also about shaping the future. Of course, Manchester's name is also written into the global language of music. Few cities can claim such an influence on modern sound. From Joy Division to the Smiths, Oasis to the Stone Roses, Manchester has produced bands that shaped generations. The Hacienda nightclub became the heartbeat of the Manchester scene, a place where electronic beats and youthful rebellion transformed culture. Even today, Manchester's music scene is alive and electric, with venues like Band on the Wall and Albert Hall carrying forward its legendary status. Walking through the Northern Quarter, with its street art, vinyl shops, and indie cafes, you feel the creative pulse that makes Manchester not just a city but a movement. Football is another thread woven deep into Manchester's identity. Manchester United and Manchester City are not just clubs, they are institutions, symbols of pride, and global icons. Old Trafford and the Etihad Stadium stand as modern cathedrals where fans from every corner of the world gather to witness moments of glory. Whether it's the red or the blue, football in Manchester is more than a game, it's a way of life, a passion that unites generations. But Manchester is also a city of beauty. Despite its industrial reputation, it has reinvented itself into a vibrant, modern metropolis. The Gothic spires of Manchester Town Hall dominate Albert Square, while the John Rylands Library enchants visitors with its neo-Gothic halls that feel straight out of a medieval fantasy. The city's skyline is changing rapidly, with glass towers rising beside historic warehouses, creating a unique blend of old and new. The city is also green at its heart. Heaton Park, one of the largest municipal parks in Europe, offers vast open spaces, lakes, and woodlands. The canals, once highways of industry, are now lined with cafes, pubs, and peaceful walkways. Even in the midst of its bustling streets, Manchester offers moments of calm, where water, trees, and history merge together. As the sun sets, Manchester transforms. Lights glitter across the canals, the hum of conversation fills the air, and the city's energy becomes almost electric. Bars, theaters, and music venues come alive, offering everything from classical performances at the Bridgewater Hall to underground gigs in hidden corners. The food scene is just as diverse, reflecting the city's multicultural spirit. Curry's in Rusham's famous Curry Mile, street food markets in the Northern Quarter, and fine dining that rivals the world's best. Manchester is not a city that rests on its past glories. It is a city that constantly reinvents itself, rising from hardship with a determination that defines its character. From the ashes of industrial decline, it has emerged as one of the UK's most dynamic cities, a place where history, innovation, and creativity collide. Its motto, Concilio et Labor, by wisdom and effort, captures the essence of a city that has never stopped moving forward. As we leave Manchester, we close this journey through England's wonders with a final reflection. From London's timeless charm to Bath's elegance, from the wild beauty of the Lake District to the energy of Manchester, England reveals itself as a country of endless contrasts and unforgettable stories. It is a land where history is written in stone, in water, in fields, and in hearts. And so, our journey may end, but the spirit of England lives on, waiting for you to step into its stories, walk its landscapes, and discover its wonders for yourself.